I just want to talk to you about my mission first. So many of you you've heard me talk about my mission, and really, I am dedicated to raising the profile of hypnotherapists globally. That's what I want more than anything in the world. With regards to our industry, it absolutely devastates me when I keep hearing the same old story over and over again, which is that they're simply not making any money and they're going back to their old job, or they've got another job that pays the bills. It should not be this way. So for you guys, you've made a decision, and the decision is that it's not going to be this way. And so I'm going to pass, everything that I've got onto you so that you can become successful, because our industry deserves to be successful, to be recognized and to be seen as credible, more than anything. And, that we're not some sort of, flaky people that walk around, doing strange things, that we actually, through science, through the subconscious mind, we make massive changes. We help people change their lives. We help people overcome depression, anxiety, addictions, and all that sort of stuff. And so that is just so important. And because we do this amazing work, we need to be compensated for that. So we need to be compensated for the amazing work that we do. And so that's why we're doing this program. Now, in terms of who I am, a lot of you know about who I am, but I'll just give you a very quick, brief story about my story. So prior to being a hypnotherapist, I was working in corporate for 22 years. And my very last job, I was a senior project manager. And as a consultant, so I'd be working for the large corporations and running big projects for them. And everything changed for me when it suddenly became apparent to me that no matter what position I achieved and no matter what I did, I really wasn't satisfied anymore. I wasn't happy. It felt like it was just too much of a drag. And at that point, I thought, I've got a massive mortgage. I need to work for another 22 years, before I can possibly retire. So I'm only at the halfway point. And I just couldn't imagine another 22, 25 years of working in corporate. I just thought there was nothing worse. Like, I enjoyed it while I was there. I really, really did. And I was ambitious and I attained, quite high positions and so on. But there came a point when it just didn't do it for me anymore. I was no longer excited. And my story is that one of the consultants in my consulting firm, she had written a book, and that book was called 30 Something and Over It. And even though I was probably just hitting 40, so I wasn't 30 something and over it, I was more like 40, I had decided that I had to read that book. And as soon as I read that book, it spoke to me about finding my baby. And, you all know what your baby is, because that's why you're a hypnotherapist or a psychologist, and that's why you're doing this work. And my baby was helping other people change their lives and overcome the kind of fears that I did in my own life previously. Okay, so moving on. Now, the reason that I believe that, perhaps I've got a little bit of a different story compared to other hypnotherapists who started in the industry is because I had a very big why in terms of why I had to be successful. There was no depending on someone else to pay the bills whilst I, decided as to whether this business was going to work for me or not. I had decided at the point where I was entering this industry that I had to make it work because I wasn't prepared to go back to corporate. Now, between myself and John, we both earned exactly the same income in corporate. So this is about 7 years ago. We both earned, 120 grand each at that point, which was a good salary. And that paid for our mortgage. So that combination paid for our mortgage. And in my mind, I had to at least earn that in my first year. I had to. Otherwise, I would find myself going back to corporate. So with the way that I did it is that I did a transition. And the transition was that I kept my full-time job as the senior project manager, and I worked Saturdays and evenings. So Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Saturdays all day is when I would see my clients. Now, with my system, my Saturdays and my evenings became quickly booked. And this is the system that I'm going to show you. And then what happened was I was so busy that I had to drop off a day from my full-time work as a project manager. So I dropped off Mondays. So I worked Mondays, Saturdays, evenings. And then I dropped off another day, which was Tuesday. And then at that point, when it was ridiculous and I couldn't fit any more clients in and they had to wait too long, that's when I finally resigned from my full-time job. And I know that, you know, for many of you, and some of you on this webinar at this very moment, you haven't done that. It was the most terrifying thing in my life to do that. So I couldn't actually tell you how terrifying it was. I was terrified because I was going to leave a job that paid me really well, where I had a great reputation, where my hours were fantastic. I could give myself 90 minutes for lunch every day to go for my run and take care of my body and so on. And you know, that fear of giving it up. So once I gave it up and once I did resign, it was like, oh my God, why didn't I do this earlier? So that's my story. And, you know, for me, it had to be, and many of you would know because you've got that workshop that I want you to see, which is, if you haven't seen it, please see it, which is how I made $165,000 in my first year of hypnotherapy. So just to be transparent, that first year of $165,000 is my first full-time year as a hypnotherapist. And since that time, you know, that amount has been well and truly tripled. So that particular workshop, if you haven't seen it yet, I want you to go and see it, you know, obviously after this webinar. It's in the resources section. So I don't know if you've seen the resources section. So the resources section on the online platform that you are all on, that resources section has got all my workshops that you need to see, and it also has all the interviews I did with great people over in the US, and I will also be continuing to do more interviews, and we'll continue putting everything in that resources section. So keep having a look in there. But in the meantime, what I want you to do is see that video first, which is how I made 165 grand in my first year of hypnotherapy. I want you to make sure that you do see it, you've got a pen and paper, and that you do write notes. Now, even the recording of this particular webinar will be in the resources section as well. So now, remember, as I'm talking, if you've got any kind of questions, please make sure that you just put them down and I can see them and I can answer them as we go. That's the whole purpose of having a live webinar. Alrighty then. So, first of all, before we move on, we've got to get rid of the myths, because as recent as 2 days ago, I received a message from somebody from this group who said he's been told that it takes 10 years to create a successful business, and he said in his note to me, please make sure that, no, he said in his note to me, please tell me this is not true. Well, I can tell you it's not true, okay? Just because that person took 10 years to establish himself as a hypnotherapist doesn't mean that that's going to be your story. In fact, it's not going to be your story because you're here listening to me, and it didn't take me 10 years. In fact, I've only been in the industry for over 6 years now. So I started, basically I finished all my qualifications end of May 2010. So just over 3 years, 6 years and 3 months is how long I've been in the industry. And I can, you know, categorically put my hand on my heart and say that I've had a 6-figure, you know, income plus every single year since then. So in terms of those myths, what are they? What are the myths that people, you know, in our industry talk about consistently? Well, they say that we can't earn an excellent income because of the economy. Well, that's not true. When I first started, There was lots of talk about the GFC and how nobody would be prepared to pay me for the kind of work that I'm doing, and even people, you know, in my family would say that. But it's not true. It's all about solving somebody's problem, and then communicating it in such a way that they want you to solve their problem. It doesn't matter how the economy is running. So most of you would know that Disneyland was created on the back of the Great Depression. So, you know, wonderful products and wonderful businesses have flourished in a time of economic downturn. And at the moment, we're not experiencing an economic downturn whatsoever. So there is absolutely no excuse. The other thing that I hear is because of their location, they can't attract the people that they need to attract. Again, you know, that's another myth. As long as you create a product which is solving someone's problem, you market it in such a way that they want to come to see you. So let me dispel that straight away. So I've had people from Germany, England, and the US come to see me in Australia for my services for depression. And that's because they have known people who I have helped, and so they've come here for that. Apart from that, that's unusual. I've got to say that's unusual. It's not a common thing for overseas people to come here. But I have had people from New South Wales, from Sydney, and from Queensland especially make the trip down here for their weekly sessions. I had a truck driver from New South Wales who would drive his truck here every week to have his session. And why do you think he did that? He did that because before he came to me, he said to me, Helen, when I'm driving my truck, the thing that goes through my mind is, should I go and crash into that pole? Should I go and crash into that tree? Because that's what I want to do. I want to end my life. And so he has a family. He has a wonderful family. Don't you think that what I'm offering him is worth his drive from New South Wales down to Melbourne every week? Absolutely and positively it is. That same person, he's now doing, what do you call them? Those Ironman competitions. And that's where he is with his life. So people will travel for you to solve their problem. It's just a matter of packaging it in a way that makes sense to them. And so forget about the location myth, okay? People will go. Next, experience. You know, the other issue that I hear people talk about, and whether you're, again, when I say a hypnotherapist, I know we've got a psychologist as well on this line. I'm talking about you too, Honor. So, you know, hypnotherapist, psychologist, we all do the same work. All right. So with regards to your experience, you are trained to do this work. It doesn't matter how much experience you've got. So even right at the beginning, I was charging top dollar. So people think they can't charge top dollar because they haven't got the experience. So the client doesn't know how much experience you have. They don't know how much experience you have. And the fact is, you've got more experience than they have. So, and the fact is, you can help them more than they can help themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there to see you. I mean, obviously, it goes without saying that after seeing, you know, thousands of clients, you know, you do become a better therapist. There is absolutely no doubt about that, that over time you become a better therapist. But right from the beginning, you have a lot to offer right from day one. Okay, so it's not about experience. Thank you for those exclamation marks. Oh no, I haven't forgotten you. It's just that I tend to say hypnotherapist because that's who I am. But just to know, when I say hypnotherapist, I am referring to you as well. And I think I've already addressed this, which is you can't charge more than anyone else. Of course you can. You can charge as much as you like. So again, it's all about what your perception is and what your limiting belief is. So believe me, the very first time that I charged the rates that I was charging, you know, I was nearly ill. But I then understood the value that I was giving, and then I knew that if I was on the other side, I would be prepared to pay that amount of money to have my problem solved. I had a hypnotherapist once who I was mentoring, and she said to me, yeah, but I don't believe in that value. then that's a different story. You know, you have to believe in your own value. You really do. And that's why we get to that's why that first module, the second module that's created for you, is about mindset. So the truth is that people will pay for the value that they believe that they will receive, regardless of location and financial circumstances. I've said this before, I'm not located in an area that is particularly wealthy or anything like that. It's just middle class Australia. And I do see students, I have seen pensioners, I have seen people who are in quite a bit of financial difficulty, but they will pay for the value that they believe that they will receive. And this whole program will show you how you demonstrate that value and how you create that value, because that is absolutely key. All right. So I created this module, Business Basics, because, I just recall the time when I first started as a businesswoman, that people, there was no way to find out just the basic information about running a business. I had to ask a lot of questions to people who already had a business. So even though I've just got a question from Kerry. Helen, do you put your prices on your website? Absolutely, categorically, 100% no. That is a big, big mistake that people make. You do not put your prices on your website, Kerry, because then you can't sell the value. You're only compared on price. So you absolutely do not ever put prices on your website. And if you've got them, the first thing that I would suggest for you to do is actually get rid of them straight away. Okay. So but believe me, Kerry, that question that you've got, that is covered in a module later on as well. So it's covered off completely. So first of all, I just want to express to every one of you, it doesn't matter where you are in your business. It doesn't matter if you're like Kerry and you're already well established, or you've just started out from your training and you're about to start your business. It doesn't matter where you are. Please start at module 1, at step number 1. It's called 15 Steps to Hypnotherapy Business Success. That means you don't step in at number 8, you step in at number 1. And, it could be that some other titles for future modules, you think that's what you need. Believe me, I've heard it all before. I've had people that I have mentored and they've said to me, oh, Helen, what I need is client attraction, and that's not till module number whatever. No, that's not what you need. What you need is to start at the very beginning to make sure you've got the foundation right. So please start at the beginning, read everything, and watch the videos that I've got for you. Take plenty of notes. Do your action points for each and every module, your hypnotherapy business success actions, your deliverables. That is the way that you're going to make this work, by doing it properly. Irrespective of whatever structure you've already got in place, you need to check that structure with regards to the steps that I've put forward. So start at the very beginning, do all the work, and you've got to play at this 100%, okay? So not 90%, not 95%, 100%. Make sure you do all the work for this. Really, there's not much that you need to do. It's about 7 months worth of work to get you where you need to be at. All right. So moving right along, in terms of business basics, I'm just giving you some basic information that I wish that I had known right from the beginning. So the 4 Bs is what I said earlier, is that we need to break through your mindset first and foremost. For those of you in the US, I found that you didn't need to do this part. You already had a great mindset, and I think that's got a lot to do with the culture in the US, which is all about that it's almost your birthright to be a successful individual, and I really, really honour that. And so us Australians, we need to also have that same mindset about that everything is possible for us. And when we say something that is limiting, we need to ask ourselves the question, is that really true? Because you'll find that it's probably not really true. Next, you need to build your foundation, and this is why you need to get through those earlier steps first. You need to make sure that you've got everything right before you're worrying about, well, where are the clients? Where are the clients? Get everything right first. Make sure that your message is correct. Make sure you're communicating that message in the right way, and the clients will come. And once we're doing that, we have systems. So in this morning's video on my Hypno Business Success Facebook page, I did talk about a couple of the systems that I had, and that's just a couple. I do have systems, and I've tried as much as possible to give you my system by giving you the templates for all the modules that you can adapt to your own needs. And beyond is leverage time, and that is where you're leveraging your time and still getting the benefits. So, in terms of my business and where I am, that's what I'm doing at the moment. As you would know, I've got 2 hypnotherapists working for the business, and I'm leveraging my time because I'm still getting income and my clients are still coming through the door. Or, connecting with other people and creating some sort of partnership with other people. But, many people are sort of wanting to get to this stage before it's time. You need to make sure that you get everything else right first before you come to this time, because nothing comes easy. I've heard a number of hypnotherapists or therapists for that matter who have talked about how they just want to leverage their time, but they haven't even got the foundation down yet. They haven't even got any systems. They haven't even got regular, consistent clients coming through the door. So the first thing that needs to happen is that you need to have your regular, consistent clients, your bread and butter, paying your bills, well and truly paying your bills, so that you're in a position to do what you need to do. So everything will come, but in order. So you've got to stop being impatient. You have to work hard and you have to do the right things, and it will come to you. I promise you that. So remember, any questions, just write down your question. I'll be happy to answer that. All right, so just quickly going through the 15 steps, because we won't spend too much time on this. This module is about, and this step number 1 is business basics, the basic things you need to know. Your module number 2, step number 2, is the business success mindset, because you do need to be thinking the right way. Number 3 is creating your business plan, which is only a 1-page business plan, because I do not want you to waste your time. I want you to use your time effectively and for it to pay off. Number 4 tells you all about your success diary and how you need to create a diary for the future. Number 5 is how you stand out. How it is that, when I first came into my business, when I first came into this area, there were 5 other hypnotherapists, and with all of them, I didn't mind that they were here, because, I was unique and I was different. And that's the mindset that I had, is that I will attract a different type of person because I am different, and so are you. And so that step number 5 will show you how you stand out from the crowd. Number 6, it's all about getting your target market right, and who is your target market, and speaking to your target market and being at all the places that your target market is hanging out. Number 7 is your website and landing page. Now, why do I have that before your target market? Because we need to know who we're speaking to before we get this one right. So you need to have your message right, and you need to know who you're speaking to before you make the necessary changes to your website and landing page. So many of you would already have websites and landing pages, but what I would recommend is that you go through this module when the time comes, when you're up to module 7, not before then, and you actually tick off at all the things that I have said that you need to do and need to put in there. And step number 8 is about creating your own ebook. There's lots of reasons to have your own ebook, and that gives you a formula, basically. So no floundering around, wondering what to do and just making it up. You just have a formula that I've given you, and you just use the formula. Number 9, see, this is the one that everybody wants, is the client magnet system, as to how you attract clients, and they want to jump onto this one first For those of you who have done that, and I bet you there are people that have done that and they haven't done the previous modules, just let it go. Let this one go and go back to the beginning. Back to the beginning and do things properly, because if you're not doing things properly, if you're not saying things a certain way, this is not going to work. It's as simple as that. So if your message isn't right, if the people that you're speaking to are not the right people, if you're not at the right place, if you're not doing the right things, this client magnet system is not going to work. So you need to do everything else first for this to work. So go back and do everything that you need to do. Number 10, sell without being salesy. So you have to sell, whether you like it or you don't like it, you have to. And I've got to be honest with you right here and now and tell you the truth. I don't like it. I really, really don't like it. And for me, when I say must eat the frog Monday, the first thing that I need to do is get on the phone and make the phone calls that I don't want to make. But I talk to you about how you get over yourself and how you do that. You have to sell. If you've got a business, you have to sell. You just have to. So I'm going to show you how you do it so that you are connecting with people in a real ethical way that's good with you, because I'm all about being ethical, and I wouldn't for a moment imagine that you're selling something that you're not okay with yourself, and how you do that. And when you come to that, you will have all the scripts and everything that will help you do that. Number 11 is key. It's about creating programs, because you will never ever have a successful business by chasing the next customer to come for 1 or 2 sessions. So it's my whole system for doing that. And then after you've seen the clients, how you make sure that you are front of their mind, how they keep calling you, how they remember you. Because so often when clients come to see me and I ask them, have you done hypnotherapy before? And they say, yep. And I say, who did you do it with? They don't know, which is really bad. They really, really don't know who they've seen. So I make sure that my customers know me and that they will always remember me, because they need to refer people to me, because my number one stream at this point in my life, my number one stream is word of mouth, without a doubt. Number 13, how you become the expert and are seen as the expert. Number 14, how you give powerful presentations. And number 15, how you create free publicity, which can actually turn your whole business around. So, the basics. Let's get going with the basics. So, we all know that we need an email address, but your email address should not say Gmail or Yahoo. Because as soon as I see that, it just reeks of you being unprofessional, even though you are professional. So this is all about perception, guys. It's all about perception. So, if they perceive you to be unprofessional, they're not even going to come anywhere near you. So you need to be professional. You need to appear to be professional, and then you are professional through your actions. So, make sure that you do actually have your domain name and as your email address. So as an example, my email address is helen@hypnofit.com.au right from the beginning. Don't even think about whether you should get .com and .com.au. Get them both. I couldn't get .com because it was taken, so I had to get .com.au. But if both are available, just get them immediately. So if you haven't done that basic thing, make sure that you do it. Whatever your business name is, that should be in your email address. Okay, now Honor was saying to me last week that this has made her very busy the last 2 weeks as she's trying to get her business accounts in order, because every time she was doing tax time, it was a nightmare for her. And believe me, Honor, I've been there. And I'm here to help you so that that doesn't happen for you. So, as you know, in Australia, every quarter we have to submit a business activity statement, which is a BAS statement, whereby we have to declare what income we have earned and what expenses we have had. But that's only for people who earn over $75,000 a year. So if you do not earn over $75,000 a year, do not register for GST. I know some people register for it just because they've got a business. You don't register for it until you have earned over $75,000 a year. Once you have earned over 75, then you register for it. So in the US, it's different still. And I'm not talking about what the tax rules are in the US, because it's actually different for every single state in America. And so that would take the rest of this webinar, even if I knew the answer to that question. So you need to find out what your own tax rules are. Now, regardless of whether you earn over 75 or not, irrespective of that, you need to have a separate business account. Don't get your personal transactions muddled with your business transactions. The reason being is that when tax time comes, whether it's your yearly tax or your quarterly tax, you will need to do that effectively and easily, and you will do that in a much more easier way and save yourself a hell of a lot of time if your business account is completely separate to your personal account. Now, the other thing to remember, guys, is that even if you haven't earned 75 grand or whatever the tax amount is for the yearly amount, the moment you earn that amount, you can claim everything. So you can still claim the expenditure, for instance, that you spent on this particular coaching, as an example. So you need to sort it out. You need to make sure that your business accounts are separate to your personal accounts. Personally, I would recommend a business credit card where you use your credit card for everything. So go for it. Make sure that you do. Hang on to all your tax receipts from all your training and all the rest of it, because you will be able to submit it at a later date. Okay. Make sure you track your finances. So, with ourselves, it's not complicated. When we first started out, we just had a spreadsheet. That's all we have, just a spreadsheet. But what I did was I was meticulous. Every time I got money, I would put it on the spreadsheet immediately, and we still do that. So immediately, the moment whether you get cash or whether you get a credit card payment, you put it on straight away. Don't try and sort it out at the end of the week. Honor is just asking, is there a difference between a business credit card and a business FPOS card? My thoughts, Honor, is that a business credit card, you're basically getting credit. So that's money that you don't even have. And a business FPOS card is linked directly to your business account. So that's the difference. The credit card, actually, you're drawing from a credit account where they've given you, say, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 to draw from, whereas a business FPOS account links directly to your business account where your clients have paid money into. All right, so make sure that you do track your finances. So prior to us having an accounting system, on the same spreadsheet, we would have one tab for income and one tab for expenses, and we would put all the expenses as they came about. So Honor's saying, is it okay just to have the FPOS card? Look, of course it's okay, but Honor, I think it's easier to have a credit card as well, because that way, if you don't have any funds in your business account, you can easily use your credit card whenever you need to. So for instance, just say you're going on a trip, which is business related, you need to be able to use your credit card then, as an example. So I would recommend that you also have a business credit card. Okay, so yeah, I would recommend that you have both the credit card and the FPOS card. So like I said, back then I used to just have a simple spreadsheet to monitor my expenses and my income, and that was good enough. But then when it became complicated, I do have an accounting software, which is Xero, which I highly recommend, and it's absolutely fantastic and makes your tax time an absolute breeze, because it uploads everything automatically into into the system, which is fantastic. Okie dokies. All right, yeah, so Anna's saying there's a possibility that she can't get one at the moment. Okay, well, go and find out from your bank. If you can't, you can't. It doesn't, it's not the end of the world. You just try. If you can't get it, just see what you can get. You might be surprised. I know you might, have a credit card with $1,000 limit, for instance. I'd be very surprised if they didn't give you that. So just go to the bank and check it out with them. Next thing is Facebook. Okay. So Facebook, you must have a Facebook presence. If you don't have a Facebook presence, you are doing yourself a disservice. You must have a Facebook presence. So not just your personal page, but you also must have a business page as well. And you need to just go and do it. Stop thinking, oh, well, it's not for me. I'm not that kind of person. You need to become the kind of person because you own a business. So you must have a Facebook business page and a Facebook personal page. That's just basic stuff. Facebook is the best thing that's ever happened to business, and it would be, a travesty not to make the most out of it and not make sure that you do get every single benefit that you can from it. It's the best thing, in days gone by, we had to have a shop presence where we had to actually pay, rent, and people had to walk past to see us. Facebook is accessible to everyone. So you need to make sure that you have these basic things done right from the beginning. Anyway, when that answer comes up, I'll address it. Now, with LinkedIn, I've got to say that it's not, the be-all and end-all at the very beginning, but it is necessary in terms of connecting with other business owners and collaborating with other business owners. So that's why you also need to have a LinkedIn presence. Now, with your LinkedIn presence, don't make it like a boring old resume. Make it exciting, to represent who you are. Now, don't do the mistake that other people have done with LinkedIn, which is okay, as an example, I'll give you myself as an example. So I used to be a project manager. So with LinkedIn, you can put in all your previous jobs. Don't put your previous jobs, because what's going to happen is that all your previous contacts are going to connect with you, and you're not actually showing yourself for who you want to be. You want to sell your business as a therapist. So make sure that you don't put your old roles in LinkedIn. Just put in your current position. Now, even if you are working part-time in another role, like I did as a project manager, I still wouldn't put that in LinkedIn, even right at the beginning, because I don't want to be known for that. I'm done with that part of my life. I had quite a number of questions about this in the US in terms of, oh yeah, but I'm really operating as a, I've got another job, and hypnotherapy is only my part-time job, and I don't want to just say that I'm a hypnotherapist. Why? Because that's the area you want to move forward in. So that's what your presence needs to be about. It's just about being a therapist. It's not about being a worker in somebody else's business. Okay, let me just get to some questions now. So James is saying everyone has a new look. Everyone's Facebook page, James, will constantly be up for review, and people, worry about that. It doesn't matter. So that's all good. Change is good. So just like we always have to make sure that we're current and that we're doing the right thing by our business, by being fresh, so is Facebook being fresh. They're always working at improving things. So I welcome Facebook changes. A lot of people say, oh, here we go again. Totally welcome them. Bring it on. Anything that makes my life easier, anything that makes, a greater presence for me, anything that I can work with, I say bring it on. So we just go for it. Now, Fabian's got a question about how do we make the most of Facebook and use it successfully? Okay, this is a question from Fabian, which is, how do we make the most of Facebook and use it successfully? Much of what comes through Facebook seems to be irrelevant and annoying. How do we use Facebook to attract clients, be relevant, and not annoy people in the process? Okay, so the first thing I've got to say is that you can't please everybody all the time. You just can't. But the most important thing for you to know is that you will attract the people who you need to attract. And so I know for sure, you know, with the way that I talk about myself, my business and what I do, I'm sure that there are people that I annoy. You know, there is no doubt about that, Fabian, that I've got people that get annoyed with my posts. I don't care. They can delete me. They can switch off their notifications from me. So I need to reach out to the people who are wanting to listen. And so the way that I do that, and if you notice, you know, take my personal page, my Helen Midas page as an example. I talk about what I do all the time, but I'm not selling all the time. So every so often I'll put a link about a service that I'm selling. Every so often I will put an offer, but I do not sit there and sell with every single post that I make. What I need to help people understand is that I love what I'm doing. I'm passionate about my work, and these are the kind of problems that I solve. And that way, people connect with you. People like you. People know that you're the go-to person for their particular problem. So, in terms of how do we make the most of Facebook, the way that you make the most of Facebook is by, I think it is module number 3, which is all about your target market. No, number 5. So when you get to step number 5, which is about standing out from the rest, that's the answer for you. So step number 5 will tell you how you communicate to people as to what you do so that they then remember you and then will come to you. So the most important thing to also remember is that whatever you're doing with regards to your business, whatever you're doing, you publicize it. You just need to publicize it. And yeah, people will get annoyed with that. So what? There's going to be a whole stack of more people who love it and who love listening to what you've got to say and who will be attracted to you. So you're not really interested in the people that are not your clients. You're only interested in the ones that are your clients. Okay. I'm just trying to answer some questions. How do you get likes outside your group, says Laura. So in terms of, so Laura, basically what happens is, as an example, if I have put a really attractive post up and the people that are in my group like it, then the people that are friends with those people will see it. So then they will then like it as well if it interests them. That's how you get likes outside your group. Another way of doing it is, of course, when you're sending correspondence to people, you put the little Facebook icon at the bottom and you say, you know, like me on Facebook. So what I say to my clients is, you know, every single day I'm putting something up that's motivating, that's uplifting. I could be putting up a video or something else. So join me on Facebook so you can be constantly motivated, and so that we can have a constant connection. And that's really important, that you're connecting with your clients all the time, not just when they come to see you once a week. So Felicity, I'll just read out your question. I was told to use WordPress to build a website. I swapped from Weebly because I did not transfer my domain over within 3 days. My domain is now in lockdown for 75 days. I then tried to get, WordPress does not offer any domains. Does anyone have any solutions?
Take that offline.
So what it sounds like a complicated issue, Felicity. So what we can do is help you one-on-one, because you've actually you're signed up with me to do one-on-one help, which means we'll help you sort this out. Okay, so because I'm mentoring you as well, and I don't have the answer on me as well right away. Hold on, Fabian's got an answer. Use godaddy4.com.au domain name. Or cheaper domains as well. Cheaper domains is another one. That's what we use. We use cheaper domains. So that's what we use. We use cheaper domains. If you need any help from that, any other help about that specifically, Felicity, please contact John. So John is your techie go-to person for any help that you need, given that you are doing mentoring with us. So John at hypnofit.com.au, and he will be more than happy to talk you through anything that you need help with. Okay, Good, excellent. All right. So client database. It actually surprised me as to how many therapists I was mentoring who didn't have a client database. I mentored a lady for a particular lady who was in business for 10 years. She was in business for 10 years and she didn't have a client database. How are you going to connect with them? How are you going to sell them something else? How are you going to make sure that you're front of mind? You absolutely must have a client database. So if you've already dealt with clients and you don't have them on a database, this is a big job that you're going to have to just do. You're going to have to put them on a database. You need to go and get your files out and actually put all the details on a client database, whether that's Microsoft Access or a spreadsheet or whatever that is. And then that will link in to MailChimp, which is what you would need to use to send regular newsletters to your clients. So James is saying, yep, he's made that mistake. Well, that's what this is for, James. This is for helping you not to make mistakes because, I've been through that learning process and I'm here to help you to do what you need to do so that you can have a successful business. You need to connect and reconnect and reconnect. And the other thing is, of course, with your clients, they're not all ready to buy from you when they make contact with you. They could just be interested. And so you need to have them on your database so that when they are ready to buy, they think of you and they haven't gone to someone else. All right. So with the financials, the reason that we need to track financials is that we need to understand where we are in our business and compare as to how you are going week by week. And it also identifies as to where you need to lift your game. So you can see this key numbers report that I have got here, and I have given it to you. So you have got this template. Now we've created all the formulas for you. So you can see that all the yellow bits are the only bits that you need to fill in. All the grey bits are already automatically done for you. So I have created this spreadsheet because what I wanted to create was a spreadsheet that wasn't a waste of time, but really gave you valuable information about where you are in your business. So let's just go through one at a time. So I know that it's past 11:30, but I want to give you value, guys. So I'm not just going to cut it off just because it's 11:30, because we did start, we were delayed when we started. And just to let you know, with these webinars, I don't want to cut it off. That's not the way that I operate. Just because an hour is up, I'm not going to stop. So I would suggest that you do give yourself a buffer and you allow yourself some extra time around these webinars so that you can be here right till the very end, because I'm just going to keep going until I've said everything that I need to say. So the first line number 1, is balance in bank. All that means, it doesn't mean how much do you have in your personal savings account. All that means is how much do you have in your business account, because we're all going to have business accounts now. So whatever that number is, if it's 0, it's 0. Whatever it is, it's a moment in time. And I know, of course, expenses come out of there at any time, but it's just a moment in time. That's all that is. It's just a snapshot. The next one, how much is owing to you? So how much is owing to you? Example, it could be that I've got people on payment plans. So for instance, some of you are on payment plans. And so I have got debtors, receivables, outstanding amount that's coming my way, but it hasn't come my way yet. In fact, none of it has come my way yet. So because of the way the system is working. But I'm going to have that in that amount in that number 2 column. Number 3 is how much people owe you. Sorry, how much you, the other way around. Sorry about that. How much you owe other people. So as an example, if you have anybody doing any sort of work for you and you know that you need to pay them an X amount of money, could be with any of the, could be an admin person or you know, a website person or whoever. If you owe them money but you haven't paid them yet, you need to put that amount in there. So creditors that have been paid for the week. So these are who you've actually paid for that week. How much money has actually gone out of your account that week that you've paid for. This is sales for the week. So how many sales, so this is a dollar figure as to what sales you've made for that week that have actually been paid, and number of invoices that are generated. So that doesn't mean that you've actually physically generated an invoice, because many of my clients, I'll tell you this as another little tip that I don't think that my video has got or my modules have got. It just occurred to me that a mistake that I made at the beginning, guys, is that I generated an invoice for every single client, which was an admin nightmare. And what I found, and I only found this by talking to another hypnotherapist who had already been in the game a number of years, was that that wasn't necessary, because people don't necessarily want them. They just throw them away. So what you do is you ask. And if they don't want it, you don't do it. And in fact, now, to be completely honest with you, I don't even ask. They ask me. So they say, you know, can I have an invoice because I need to claim it at, you know, Health Fund or whatever? Sure. We email it to them straight away. We PDF it straight away. But we don't automatically do it, and that saves a hell of a lot of time. Not doing things that you don't have to do. I'm a big, big believer of not doing anything that you don't have to do. Now, yeah, so what I mean by number of invoices is just, you know, the number of sales that you've had that week. Average amount of the invoice is automatically calculated. James just asked a question, what invoice program do you recommend? So I don't recommend any, James. I think it's a waste of money. We use a template on Word. Keep things simple. Don't complicate things. So I'm a big believer in keeping things simple. So I don't use one. We have investigated it, and we found that it wasn't going to save us any time, because we have a template that's ready. Just populate that template, send it off, and we don't send that many invoices off anyway. You'd be surprised when you don't put it out there as to how many people want their invoices. Not many. Not many people actually want them. So I recommend none. I recommend you use Microsoft Word. Okay, so all the grey areas, average amount of invoice, you don't put anything in there. It'll just pop up automatically. Don't put a thing. Sales for the month to date, don't put anything in there. It'll come up automatically. Business costs for month to date, don't put anything in there. So it all comes up automatically. Number of quotes per week. So how many quotes you've actually done per week. And then it'll come back automatically in terms of how many you've done for the month. Now, this is important because it also demonstrates how much work you've done, okay? Because it could be that the money hasn't come in, it hasn't hit the bank, but you have done work, you have given quotes, you have been out there. So that's why we need this spreadsheet. We want to see where your work is and where you need to lift your game. So again, anything grayed out is automatic. So one-on-one clients per week. So this tells you, you know, on average, how many clients you see per week. So how many did you see for that week? How many free consults did you give a week? So for example, now that moving my business towards, you know, my 2 hypnotherapists working on as many clients as possible, the number of free consults I give per week are astronomical. They've just blown through the roof, and that's what I want. I want to allocate my time for that. So, you know, that's all time, so it needs to be considered. Okay, let me just answer a question before I go on. Kelly's just saying, hi Kelly, I work via a subcontract at a clinic as well as from home. Do I separate these when doing my finances? The owner of the clinic does all the marketing. Yes, so you basically don't separate it because it's your business, but I would, you know, include any costs that you've got. You know, obviously, if the clinic is incurring the cost for you, For marketing, you don't need to include that. So you only include what you physically pay for and what you physically earn. So, the cost, for instance, would be the rent that you would have if you do have to pay rent. So whatever it is that you actually do. Okay, so your aim is to work solely from a business. Well, you're at the right place, Kelly. You're at the right place. This is exactly what needs to happen. So you just follow these steps and you will be working solely from your business. Yeah, so don't worry about the costs that the clinic owner has. It's just all about your costs, but don't separate them because it's still your business. And again, I'm all for making things as simple as possible. So I can't see any advantage in separating them. So I wouldn't separate them. Number 22 is inbound sales calls. So your inbound sales calls means the client has contacted you. So I would keep a track of how many calls you're getting in, because you might find that there is a certain amount every week according to what you're doing that week. It could be that you're doing more activity in Facebook or whatever it is that you're doing. Now, your outbound sales calls, what do I mean by that? I don't mean cold calling, because I don't do cold calling. That's not what I do. What I mean by that is when you're returning a client's call, or when, for instance, you've noticed that you've sent them something. And okay, I'll give you an example so that you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so just say you send out a MailChimp newsletter, and you find with MailChimp, the brilliant thing about it is you find out who's opened it and how many times they've clicked onto it. And you filter it by how many times people have clicked onto it. You are then able to call that person, because it could be a person that you've dealt with before, and you say, I noticed that you were interested in this particular newsletter, just wondering where you're at, whether there's something that I can do to help you. So that's an outbound sales call. So you can notice it's not a cold call. You're calling them for a reason. And that's an outbound sales call. Some of you on this very webinar have been called by me, and you got called by me because I gave you an info pack, and just to see as to where you're at. That was an outbound sales call. Now, the final item, are your tax obligations up to date? Don't even continue to step number 2 unless they are up to date. You've got to be up to date, guys. Got to be up to date. I'm not quite sure, Kelly, what you mean. So my costs would be the percentage portion I lose. No, that's not your cost. That's your opportunity cost. No, that's not your cost. So your cost is what you physically pay and what you physically receive. So that's not your cost, because that's just what happens in a clinic, because they've got their own costs. So I would not include how much you don't get paid out of your percentage portion. No. So that would complicate things, because that's not. So I would only say your cost is what you physically pay for. So you've actually spent money is what your cost is. I hope that makes sense. James says, Skype calls, are they included? Yep, absolutely. So absolutely they're included, James. That's just a different way of communicating. So yes, they are included. Fabian, is the purpose of recording free consults is to see whether they convert clients if they work? Okay. So Fabian, that's coming up in your later steps, where I do talk about free consults extensively. So I'm not going to talk about it here because it's actually a very big issue and you're not up to that. So free consults are absolutely 100% necessary in terms of doing my program and being successful. And in terms of, whether the reason why you include in your spreadsheet, it's because it's your work rate. It's to work out how much work you've done that week. But yes, the purpose of free consults. Oh, okay. Now I understand your question. The purpose of recording free consults. Yeah, so it's the work rate, Fabian. So for example, it could be, like I said earlier, it could be that, in one particular week, I haven't actually seen many one-on-one clients, but I've done a whole stack of free consults. So it's indicating how much work I have actually done. And it ends up being that, I have actually done quite a bit of work. And it could be that money is coming in the future because of those free consults that week. Okay, we've already gone through everything in terms of your spreadsheet. So make sure you start using it and get used to it and start using it. And interestingly, you know, people find that by comparing week by week, because you'll have those spreadsheets side by side, you can see how you're tracking. You can see where you're going. It's not just, you know, how many clients you've seen that week. And, you know, that's one of the things that gets me agitated about people that are selling coaching programs is that, oh, I'll give you 30 clients a week. But what does that mean? What does that mean? You know, does it mean you're just going to be exhausted at the end of the week? What does it mean? You know, you might not want 30 clients a week. So it's all about, you know, tracking your activity and seeing what is working and seeing what is not working. So every single module, you've got hypnotherapy business success actions. Please don't skip past them. Please make sure that you do them. For those people who are doing one-on-one mentoring with me, you do have to make sure that you do them because I will be checking up on them. So you've got to make sure that you do them and that you do submit them to me. For those of you who are not doing one-on-one mentoring, you still make sure that you do them anyway, even though you're not submitting them to me. You know, just make sure that you're honest by yourself and that you are doing what you're supposed to do. And if you have any questions, you just let me know at the next webinar. And it's the thing is about the actions, what I want you to know, it's not just about homework. It's about it actually, you know, adding to your skill set and more importantly, giving yourself every single possible chance of success because you're doing what you have to do. And I want to tell you also that every task that I've given you, I've done myself. So this is a mantra that I have with my clients and with my mentees, which is I don't ask anybody to do anything that I haven't done myself. I have done it all myself. And only then are you able to go to the next level when you've done all those hypnotherapy business success actions. So make sure you do them. Make sure you do your key numbers report. And with your quiz, make sure that you work at 100%, guys. So, for instance, if you do your quiz and you got 90%, don't move on. I tried to actually get the system to stop you from moving on, but that wasn't successful. It was impossible. This system doesn't allow it. So I tried very hard for that because I really wanted you to make sure you got 100% before you could possibly move on, but I couldn't do it. So I'm relying on you to be honest with yourself. You're big people now, and make sure that you get 100% before you move on. They're not difficult questions. It's just to make sure that you've got a good grasp and an understanding of what my intention is and what you needed to get out of every single step. And your weekly plan. Now, for those of you doing one-on-one with me, you need to submit your weekly plan to me 48 hours before, please, because I need to have a chance to have a look at it. Giving it to me the moment before we have our session doesn't give you the opportunity for me to know exactly what's going on with you. So it's a way of helping you the most. Now, for those of you who are not doing one-on-one with me, please make sure that you do it anyway, because you can see what you've achieved that week. You can see what your challenges are. You can see what you've learned for that week, and it keeps you focused on what it is that you need to do. So please make sure that you do it. Okay, so in terms of this step number 1, let's make sure that everybody has a business name, a domain name, an email name, that if possible have a credit card, if possible. Of course, if you can't, you can't, but if possible, have a credit card and a business account. Everybody can have a business account. And make sure that you do have a database. Make sure it starts, simply start off your database with all the information that I have requested for you to have in your database so that you can actually respond to your clients in a way that is nurturing. Okay, so now to questions. Okay, Felicity, I did and got the same question wrong twice. Okay, that's in terms of the quiz. Okay, so you need to go over it and get it right, Felicity. You can do that again. Make sure that you do get it right. So it means that there was just a gap there somewhere. Okay, Fabian is saying GPs are not interested in leasing to hypnotherapists. Well, actually, that's not true, Fabian, because I know therapists and hypnotherapists who work with GPs. So I do know that that is not true. It's just that some wouldn't be. But they're all different. And you'll find that when you do go around talking to GPs, because that's part of your tasks coming up, that some of them, in fact, to be honest, most of them, and when we say GPs, just to our American listeners, we're talking general practitioners, which are your medical practitioners. Most of them are not receptive, but the ones that are receptive are like gold. So you will always get receptive ones as well, who are holistically minded and who do want and are very interested in hypnotherapists. Okay, so let's just go to your other question, Fabienne. All my free consults are on the phone as I pay for a room. Have just lost one of consulting rooms and only have access to a room a couple of days a week. At present, okay. Now, I know that this doesn't sound practical, but when you learn how to do them properly, this is what I would suggest, Fabienne. When you get to that particular module and you've done everything else first, and I tell you exactly how to do your free consults, you need to pay for the room. And I know you're thinking, oh, but it's a free consult and I have to pay. It doesn't matter. It'll come back tenfold, 20-fold. It'll come back to you. It's an investment in your business. That's what it is. So once you know what you're doing, and you're following my specific suggestions in terms of how you do it, make sure that you do actually do it. Now, another suggestion that I do have in the meantime, and I have suggested this to other hypnotherapists and it's worked for them, is you can have a free consult in a cafe. Yes, you can. There's no reason why you can't. You just take them to, and the way that you say it is, look, I want to make it easy for you. It's all in the delivery. So you just say, let's meet in a cafe and I'll find out all about what's going on for you, and I'll come to a cafe near you, and then you do it that way. So until you build your business, do that. Use a cafe. I have another consultant, and she used the foyer of a hotel where there was like little tables and little couches and little chairs. And it was quite quiet. So she used that. So you don't have to have a room that you're leasing and that you're paying for. You can use a public space like a cafe or like the foyer of a hotel, as long as it's somewhere where other people can't hear what you're saying, where there is some privacy. So just be mindful of that. Okay, Kelly, you've got a question whether it costs to have a business account. It's just the standard bank charges. So what you can do is just shop around. That's what I would suggest. I'm with Bank of Melbourne. I love them. I think they're fantastic. I'm their raving fan. So that's who I'm with all my accounts. But you just shop around and find out as to what's the best deal for you. So they're just standard bank charges, nothing more than that. James is saying, do you need to dress for success when you go out to a casual location? I would, James. Absolutely. It's all about perception. And so no matter where I go, I wouldn't turn up with my jeans, that's for sure. So yes, I think that, if you want to charge a price that is, because what I do want with my mentees is to charge at the upper level eventually. You do need to actually look the part. So you need to look as professional as possible. So that's a very good question, James. And I would say, yes, dress for success. And, you bring a really good point up, which is about dress, because it makes a difference. Even with people that have worked with me as hypnotherapists in the past, where they've come here with leggings or with jeans, I've asked for them not to be dressed like that, because there's an image, there's a reputation, and there's a perception. So if you want to be a successful business person, you need to appear like that. So yeah, dress for success, absolutely. That doesn't mean, in my eyes, ties or anything like that. I'm not a person who actually likes ties. I don't think it looks good anymore, but certainly a nice business shirt, casual pants, whatever you would wear in your clinic would be good and ideal. All right, any more questions? Really good questions today, guys. Excellent questions, in fact. Doesn't look like there is. So what I would suggest, because I'm going to catch up with you all in 2 weeks' time, if not before, is, feel free You didn't have to this time because I was happy to answer them on the spot, but feel free to send me your questions before the webinar, and I can actually answer those questions straight up. Because it could be, as an example, that you're asking questions that are not in relation to the webinar that I'm presenting. I'm still happy to give you the answers straight up before we even move on. Fabian's asking about how does she increase the number of clients before then. You've just got to be patient, Fabian, and you've got to, you know, you've got to follow the program. You know, that's what I'm saying is, you know, it's only 7 months. It's not a long program. And as you start to do one step after the other, you will find that those clients are going to come automatically anyway. So it's not an easy question. That question that you've got, how do I increase my clients? It's the whole 15 steps. You have to do the 15 steps, one after the other. It's not just a magic wand. It's not just a simple answer. You have to do the 15 steps. But what I would do is one after the other. Have dedicated time, do your actions, and those customers and those clients will come to you. All right. Well, if that's all, thank you for joining me today. It was wonderful having you all here, and it was really good questions. Really fantastic questions from all of you. And you can see the benefit that everybody else gets. Can we move through the program faster? Yes, you can, Kerry, because you've paid up front. So you can move at whatever pace you want. The people that pay per month get allocated a number of webinars per month. So the people that have paid per month get, in the first month they got 3. In the second month you'll get 2, and 2 from that point onwards. But Kerry, you can move through the program as fast as you like. It's completely self-paced, but just make sure that you do it. And you're welcome, Mark. Thank you. Oh, thank you, James. Beautiful. Thanks, Alandra. Thank you for the beautiful comments. Really appreciate that. Wonderful. Okay, it's been my absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. So I'll see you in 2 weeks' time, and have a great day.